Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 288. Hello out there, I'm your host Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joined here as always, except when he's not, by BT Calloway.
New friend smell.
And
that was a quote from the episode, fuck you.
I was just about to say, joining us is very much returning champion Diana Green.
I can't top what Peach said.
I have
you
a
both
horsey.
smell adequate.
See, yeah, you can, that's perfect. Adequate by Calvin Klein.
Adequate like this episode.
Yeah, we review Simpsons, and we already reviewed all the classic and teens and most of the 20s, but now we're just digging through fucking what's left of the 30s and seeing if there's any adequate gold in them hills. Fucking, I'll settle for copper at this stage. But before
New
we...
rank.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere between participant and bronze.
Yeah, copper.
But is it better than Run Fat Boy Run?
Oh, now available on Starring Springfield. Once was a premium podcast, now is free for all to enjoy. And as suggested by one Diana Green as well.
Oh, yeah.
Look at me just effortlessly tying in promos.
Did I actually suggest that?
Yep.
Because I remember you already did Wayne's World 2, and I was like, what other movies are there? You've done Godzilla, you've done Wayne's World 2, I'm running out.
That's the big three, yeah.
I did estimates. There's about, for those that don't know or whatever, Starring Springfield is where we're reviewing movies that star the cast members of The Simpsons, as so suggested by our heroes over at Patreon. More on that later. But yeah, I did the math. We've got at least 300 films that we can draw from.
Whew,
yeah.
Good lord. All right, we're going to be busy. All right.
Yeah. But until then, we are here to review Simpsons, and Diana, we ask our returning champions, have you been keeping up with the show? Where are you and The Simpsons at the moment?
I don't know if I've watched one episode since I was last here, which was the quote-unquote final episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to binge the new season when it was all done, and then I just forgot. But I'll get to it. Until Disney stops me from mooching off your Disney Plus, I'll get to it.
They're getting fucking dangerously close to it. It's, I've been having people hit me up left and right this last week, being like, hey, buddy, how you been? By the way,
Waiting for
what's
that
up with
axe to
Disney?
drop on me, and I'm scared.
Yeah, they're being fucking pains in the ass. They saw that Netflix got away with it, and they're like, wait, we're a big evil corporation?
Wait a second. Yeah.
Until that time, we are able to review episodes like this one today, and being that it's episode 288, I thought it was appropriate to review this one, season 31, episode 21, The Hateful 8-Year-Old. See, there's two 8s there, 288, 2 8s.
I see what you did, because you told me.
100%. In this, it was first released in May of 2020, directed by Jennifer Moeller, written by Joel
Oh, this
H.
is a COVID
Cohen.
episode. This would be right in the peak early COVID.
Yep. Oh, mate, yeah. Very much not knowing what was going to happen, what's around the corner, still locked down for how long. And...
Trump can only be president for a few more months. It was a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back there. Lock me back down.
It was nice when people were dying.
Directed by Jennifer Moeller, written by Joel H. Cohen. In this episode, Lisa gets invited to a birthday party, but the girls are all very mean. And in the B story, Marge and Homer go on a booze cruise and get in a fight with Weezer.
As one does.
Hey, all, what did we think?
I already said it's adequate.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Adequate.
I had a decent time with it.
Well, that was pretty good. So, yeah, we can wrap this up and talk about the other episode.
Yeah.
Well, what about in comparison to its namesake? Would you rather watch this or The Hateful Eight?
I've not seen the Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight's significantly longer, so how much time do I have? That's going to be important.
Let's say in this scenario, it's May of 2020.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, I still have work because I was essential.
Oh, yeah,
so, yeah.
Thank you for your service,
I
Booze.
mean, they always forget.
I was meant to be essential, but, you can tell them you're sick, and what are they going to do? Say come in with COVID?
It's true. Those were the
It was
days.
a very abusable system. I miss it.
So, yeah, this episode, I had an okay time with it, even though I didn't laugh a lot.
No.
But
I got a good few. I got a good few chuckles, and there were a lot of ones where I just went, "Oh, that's funny." But, yeah.
I think I found this funnier than I did find it good, if that makes sense.
interesting.
This had multiple jokes that I chuckled at a little. But when I think about the episode, I'm kind of like, that is a very modern episode for bad reasons.
Yeah. I will say, like, yeah, similar to you, Paige, I had those, what was the kid of the Botox lady?
Yeah.
Got so much Botox in pregnancy, now she can't laugh. A joke I liked.
Yep.
But yeah, it was just, that's funny. That's so funny. I'm literally laughing out loud. That was me for most of it. I liked how the A story progressed and went along, and I think that hit all the right beats. B story, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, that's kind of, it's very much my coverage as well. Like, a lot of the A, I'm like, okay, yes, let's go. The third act is a little weak for that, unfortunately, and then the B story is fine, but it needs to be more like, you know, one of those ones where you just kind of cut away to it quickly and come back every now and then. They tried to put a
concept of a B story, but not its execution.
Yeah, that's the thing, where Homer kind of surprises Marge with this, you know, sunset cruise, booze cruise, whatever it is, and then they just don't seem to know what they want to do with that, because it all ends with like an impassioned speech about, you know, giving up on going out on dates and just staying home, and that was never the point to begin. I don't know. It's unfocused, but it's fine.
It served its purpose to
Kill time.
write off why they aren't helping Lisa in their situation. And I even went to a moment where I'm like, I hate this joke, and then I liked it, where it's the old, you know, the phone's cutting out and they're only getting the part of the message that says the opposite of what the teller is. But then it did a modern new spin on it, where Lisa's sending text, but like one word at a time, and then the essential words aren't getting through. So again, it looks like, don't come, I'm having fun, or whatever.
Yeah.
See, I didn't like that part, but I liked Homer's oblivious reaction to it. Like, this was really nice golden retriever Homer and not like jerk Homer.
Yes, I agree with you there.
Although it does have the weird thing of being like, they get the texts that make it sound like everything's fine, but in fact they're not. Thing is, even if Lisa got through to them, they can't turn around, they're on a cruise.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just stop one of those and go back, so it kind of, they have a double reason to not be able to show up, and I don't know, that's still fine, it's not a problem, it's just interesting.
Well, they're too busy enjoying the band, so you could say they have a double reason not to go.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Let's just peel that bandage off. Weezer were playing the band called Sailor's Delight, which weren't called Weezer, even though the set list was all Weezer songs. So yeah, that was Brian Bell, Rivers Como, Scott Schreiner, and Patrick Wilson all playing themselves.
Yeah, and they play the theme song over the end credits. I'm like, it just sounds like The Simpsons. I don't know what I'm pulling out of this. I
didn't realize it was Weezer during the episode, and the like credits thing like blew me away. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? So I didn't put two and two together at first, and I was just like, holy shit.
Well, when we have such a history of like so many bands doing really distinct versions of the Simpsons song, like this one I put in the Fall Out Boy category is just,
it's fine.
They kind of brought them and they just kind of did it, whereas like, Sonic Youth, what's that fucking Yola Tango or whatever that did that
little bit out of that Dream Theater song?
Sorry?
I forget which one, because Dream Theater songs are way too long to remember.
I don't get the reference, sorry.
Oh, Dream Theater, the band. They play a bit
did
of the
a Simpsons theme
Yeah,
version?
it's in the middle of one of their songs, because, you know, more fuck you, we can throw tritones in whenever we want.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
Missed that one.
Yeah. Gonna look it up now just to prove I'm not insane.
But until then, Diana, please tell us, what is a moment from this episode that stand out to you for better or worse?
One thing, just to be the pedantic fuck, and this isn't an episode that already called attention to it, and now it's receiving the same karma. Bart should not be scared of horses when he had Furious D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this was a real silly late inclusion into the plot as well.
I mean, horses kind of are scary, especially if you're like 10. And like Lisa said, that thing will just kick your face off. So like,
yeah,
I can kind of get it. It's just, if you've seen like this much Simpsons and you're a pedantic fuck about it, it'll annoy you. But in isolation, I think it's fine. And it's a nice little, you know, Bart was being a piece of shit about horses and then you saw why. And I like that on its own. I'm just like the really annoying person in this situation.
No, I think because for me, I didn't even click that moment, and I should, you know, build a whole thing on being a pedantic Simpsons fan. But to me, like, the Bart's journey in this wasn't that, and that seemed very tacked on at the end, especially because he just kind of gets over it instantly.
Because of his Duncan memories.
Yeah.
Well,
Sweet memories
I'm
of
remembering.
He should have brought up the jockey elves. That was the one problem with this episode.
That's the
jockey
problem.
elves.
They sprinkled their magic jockey elf fairy dust and but forgot, and everyone got amnesia.
Now imagine if that like Botox girl at the very end she just like pulled off like ears and she had like magic elf ears.
Yeah.
Great effort. That'd be like
Cubic zirconia.
Yeah.
The cubic failure. It'd just be so baffling you'd have to love it.
I mean, let's be honest, the Furious D episode, that is kind of a cubic failure.
It is
Like
really
that episode,
a turning
that
point.
episode on its own sucks for some reasons, but it's also funny.
Yeah. Oh,
It is very cute when people are like, this is the worst episode ever, and it's like, oh no.
Oh, boy.
no.
Yeah, we're going to go some places.
But yeah, Bart's journey with this was coming round to defending Lisa and the whole thing of like, oh, she's my family. I get to make fun of her, but no way. And like the second that anybody starts bullying her, he's like, oh, absolutely not. Like, it reminds me of Bob's Burgers where Louise like, messing with Tina is a privilege. And yeah, so I found the whole Bart scared of horses thing so tacked on. And yeah, you're right, Diane. It doesn't make sense when you consider the past.
Unless this occurs earlier in the timeline.
Of course.
Real Jim needs to get a new video out.
Unraveling Time of the Simpsons is just a folly of an idea.
Well, how about you, BT? What stands out to you from this episode for better or worse?
I'm going to throw to the hardest laugh I got, which is, just a throwaway reference that then comes back. So there's a whole bit where Homer's, telling Marge, oh, well, Lisa's at a sleepover and we're out near the pier. Why don't we go swing by? And Marge's like, okay, I'm not going to help you look for your sunglasses. You lost them 6 years ago. They're gone. That was okay. I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. But then at the end, he makes the big impassioned speech I didn't really care for. But then a seagull flies by and drops his sunglasses on his face. I'm like, that got me pretty well. That was.
I didn't put that together. God.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe I shouldn't be reviewing this show. I seem to miss shit.
It was just a great little way to give him like a mic drop moment, but just have the universe give him one back, I suppose. And
I liked the initial 6 years bit.
And I liked it was just
it could have been a throwaway joke, but that they paid it off is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that stuck out to me, and again got my biggest proper laugh out loud laugh from this whole thing.
Yeah, on that, and I'll say what stood out to me for better or worse is I actually kind of like Skinner as an oblivious Lyft or Uber driver. And me and Teresa both cracked up because she helped me watch this. Thank you, Teresa. We both laughed at the fact that Bart put his name as Juan Star No Tip. Like, it's a very lazy pun, but like, I don't know. I thought I laughed.
Yeah, that whole
I reacted to it.
Execution of that bit really shouldn't have worked as well as it did. Like the fact that we're sitting here going, well, Skinner knows where Bart lives. He's been there before. He knows, it's not that good of a disguise for Bart. But then they did it well enough that it worked. I wasn't, sitting there being Jordan's anal corner about it.
And you think it would be like Mo because it's like a prank call name.
Yeah.
Ah, true.
That's it. Skinner's always been implied to have like extra jobs because teachers don't make enough.
Yeah.
He must be a millionaire.
Yeah, that's right. We watched that episode over Christmas. It's still a good one.
It's in the top 5 Simpsons Christmas episodes. I think that's safe.
It's not a hard battle in the top 5. It's a race for the bottom, but
I knew someone that didn't like that episode at all, but loved Tis the 15th season, and I don't know how.
The fucking thing with the statue that talks to Homer?
Yeah.
Oh, that thing was bad.
I know. But she hosted Simpsons Trivia and specifically did the Christmas episodes from season 1 to 15, but then she forgot about Skinner's sense of snow, and I called her out on it, and she was like, oh, that episode sucks anyway.
Controversial opinions all around.
Yeah, like...
To quote Lisa from that very same episode, to which I say to that person, honk, honk. But yeah, as a way to get Skinner out at the end so he wasn't there as the getaway driver being, ooh, surge charging on an airport trip, I'm there. Like, that was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to touch on the main story as well and all the guest stars that were littering this. So playing Addie, the thing that kicks this story off, all right, first of all, it's another superfluous thing because like the mailman asked Homer to get clear out his mailbox.
This was odd.
And so Homer does it, and there's a neat little animation thing where he's like, the
mail
mail is
loaf.
slowly coming out of the box, like
mail loaf,
like a can of bread or something. And so you think with this, the mail's been sitting there for ages. Surely that kicks us off a whole, oh, Lisa only just got this invitation and it was sent ages ago, something problem, but it wasn't. It was just...
which, fine, but it definitely didn't feel like the direction we were going. But, all right.
They had an extra 40 seconds to fill, and that was
That's
all
the thing. There's no intro, there's no couch gag. This one's wall-to-wall, surprisingly.
I felt that was a weird thing with the Weezer outro as well, that this would normally be over the credits, but it was its own thing as well. And it's like, yeah, why didn't you put the intro to this one? This was clearly a short episode. Like, even when we got to the end, I have a bit of a, oh, that's it. Oh, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, playing Addie was Joey King, who I wasn't that familiar with. But she was mostly a child actor in Battle Los Angeles and Crazy Stupid Love, Dark Knight Rises, but has since gotten a lot more, has kept acting throughout the years, it seems. And the other three girls were all from Riverdale.
All right.
Stay out of Riverdale.
And playing the party organizer was Lily Singh, aka Superwoman, a Canadian YouTuber. Her name styles as I Superwoman I. Anyone familiar with that YouTuber?
No. Superwoman.
The only word I've understood in the last half hour is Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. I'm a bit lost.
Yeah, so was I. Normally I make a thing out of featuring a bit of trivia about the guest stars, but there were so many today, and we don't need to hear a fun fact about Patrick Wilson from Weezer.
No, we're good.
The fun fact, he was in this episode. But yeah, how did we like the story with... Yeah, Lisa going over to this girl's house who, they bonded over a saddle...
saddle club kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Palport. Yeah.
Something like the Giddy Up Club or something like that. And then she gets to the party and all her friends are mean girls that are now being mean to Lisa.
Yeah, look, I mean, I liked the heartbreak to this when Lisa gives the horse doll and she throws it out and, all that kind of thing. And the explanation as well when she's all like, oh, don't you understand? They always pick on me, so I brought you along so they would pick on you. And next time you bring someone and they'll pick on them and you'll be included. And I've been in that friendship situation and that was some old wounds there. I'm like, haha, Simpsons, you found where I live.
Oh, Jesus.
But no, I quite liked a lot of it. I feel like it's just, again, third act, little weak.
How about you, Diana?
No, that's kind of how I feel. I like the story. I like the concept of the story, and the behavior of Addie in particular I really liked. Just how... Yeah. There was a time where you couldn't really tell what her motive was. But then you found out, she was basically being a piece of shit out of peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, which is a thing kids definitely do.
Oh, yeah. Especially at, granted, maybe not at 8, but, the Simpsons... Simpsons writers kind of struggle with writing the characters as their actual age.
Yeah, of course, I don't really know and especially, the further in age I get away from being a child, the less idea I know. So, yeah, I sort of sympathize with the Simpsons writers.
When you were 8, you hadn't even stopped any mass murderers. You hadn't brought a cartoon back.
Hadn't had a very successful racehorse and then was chased down by the elf jockeys and then forgot I had that racehorse and then had a fear of horses.
Space mutants even once.
You've never been.
Yeah, so yeah, you can tell that the kids are kind of aged up a little bit, but whatever. It is one of these ones where, Simpsons introducing modern problems of, social media and kids using it, where I didn't find it super cringy, and I felt like it did play into the story fairly well, and, illustrated this problem of how, bullying has evolved in this way.
Yeah, all that works pretty well.
I mean, it's a timeless story. They just added tech to it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I guess it is an old story, and it actually feels very Simpsons-y, to give the kid a toy for their birthday, and they're like, "Oh, that's baby stuff."
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if a Simpsons has already done that because it seems like
feels like they should have, or they had, or
it's vaguely making me think of it's an entirely different execution, but it does make me think about the Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah, I was going to say,
yes.
Oh, clip-ons. Maybe you can put them on your doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
But she wasn't an outright bitch. She was
no.
She was a likable bitch.
But yeah, it's kind of similar things where it turned out either embrace still being a kid while you are, or actually just embrace the things that you actually like rather than moving with the crowd. And yeah, that's the message that I liked from this one, and I thought worked all quite well, even if not super funny.
Yeah, it is adequate, as we said.
Adequate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about the wackiness? Was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
I'm thinking of what happened after Lisa messed with all the kids' hair and how it just looked very Lisa-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was odd. Yeah, she hardens all their braids with hoof hardener. They then shatter to look like Lisa. It's like, did she know that was going to happen?
No, like, I liked that as a thing, and, like, especially having recently listened to an episode of the 16th Minute of Fame podcast that talked about the Gorilla Glue lady who, like, stuck her hair down with Gorilla Glue and then, like, caused herself a lot of problems and then became viral.
I did not know about that. Okay.
Oh, 16th Minute of Fame. Got to get on that. It's a great podcast.
Clearly.
So sort of seeing Lisa glue the hair, I was like, oh, how's this going to double turn on Lisa? Their head's going to get stuck. And I'm wondering, like, but the twist that, the hair all fell off and they all, like, had Lisa do. So I was like, I liked it.
It went an unexpected direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's some wackiness. Any other cartoony moments stand out to us?
I mean, you mentioned the sunglasses thing. That was wacky.
Yeah. Actually, while we're on the cruise ship as well, like, Weezer frontman Rivers, he's doing, like, the pulling in rope thing to Marge, and she's getting let in, and then I didn't actually mind the wackiness of Homer trying to pull her back, but then he's getting pulled in by the rope.
And like, starts skidding across the ground.
Yeah.
So the mime powers of Rivers Como, clearly superior to all.
Tom Walker, eat your heart out. Homer Simpson's the new king of mime.
I did like Bart's line of, something like, only I get to bully you. I magnetize your saxophone, and it's like clinging to the ceiling fan. Like, okay, that's pretty good.
And the detail of Grandpa's got one of those old people phones. Like, I genuinely want to get one. They look great.
Yeah, the flip phone with the old style rotary wheel.
Yeah, my phone does too many things.
Yep.
Even the girls pointed out in this one, it's like, ew, you're using your phone to talk to someone?
I did like, your phone is made by Subway? Dad had to eat 1,000 footlongs for that.
Yeah, I dug that joke.
Just for a very quick side note, that thing about you use your phone for a phone, my neighbor kids think my Switch is a phone because all they see is a touchscreen with games, and they're like, that's a phone.
Fair enough.
They don't even think about the phone part of a phone because, like, why would you?
Yeah.
Dude, it doesn't even have an internet browser on it.
It does if you try very hard when you can, like, fuck. Okay, I don't know if they still do it, but back when Facebook and Twitter were available on the Switch,
Oh, yeah.
when you, like, try to sign them up, you could actually just, like, back out of it and use it as a web browser.
Really?
It was very slow and pointless, but people find a way.
Yeah, any other notes of wackiness?
No, but if we're ready, I can travel us to a certain corner that requires bell sound effects.
Bust out the bell.
Hey, hey, hey,
By the way, Diana,
corner in session.
he got a bell.
I'm happy for you. You're making me think of Homer when he was the town crier.
Oh yeah, I got my eye out for one of those if I see one in like an op shop or something. Look, we mentioned it before. There's that one popular girl who can't laugh because her mum had too much Botox when she was in utero, and yet throughout the episode we see her clearly, visibly laugh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. Come on. Hope someone got fired for that blunder.
That's a shame because it was building on a joke where I was like, shows have done this before. It's an old Seinfeld bit. It's an old Scrubs bit of the girl who doesn't laugh. She just goes, that's funny.
Yeah.
And I liked that interesting new twist on it. Oh, what a
There
shame
being
they
an
didn't
actual
stick to
reason. Look, it's forgivable, but it is noticeable.
No, I don't think it's forgivable.
Oh, there we go.
So, I know it's a bit early, but I think I'm bumping this down to a failure.
Oh, damn. Hardcore, but fair.
Our forgiveness does not come cheap, and our rankings are harsh.
Brutal.
Well, how about the heart of this episode? Did we feel the bumps?
Look, Homer organizing the Sunset Cruise for Marge, that was real nice. He's like, I never organize things, but I got this. And even her line of, a Sunset Cruise. I read about these in Sunset Cruise magazine.
Yeah.
I love that.
And her line of, it makes you so handsome when you put forth even the slightest effort.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a good knowing line, I reckon, without being like, oh, Marge, leave this man. Like, yeah, that was a good knowing line.
Absolutely.
I think I like when Bart and Lisa actually have, like, sibling dynamics and clearly care about each other. So I did kind of get a small bump at the end when Bart and Lisa forgave each other and played that prank.
Yeah. I super like Bart's line of, true revenge can only come from the hate within your own heart.
Well, and, that way Lisa gets to utilize a bit of Bart's thuggishness and skills to, get revenge on these girls. And, I think all that stuff worked at the end with Bart helping her out and being like, no, you don't get to leave yet. And maybe there's an argument there for, why Bart's fear of horses at the end, does work, because Lisa brings back that whole, well, you didn't let me leave before, and I'm not letting you leave now.
I get why they did it. I don't think it works, but I understand, you help me, now I'll help you. It's fine, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, I also, like the little heartbreak moment in the beginning when, they're both arguing and throwing horse figurines at each other. And, they're like, I'm going to unsister you, I'm going to unbrother you. But then Lisa picks up the fake scissors and actually does it, and Bart actually looks hurt. And it's like, okay, that's...
Yeah.
I do love during that scene Homer's no horseplay joke.
Yeah, and him running away going, Marge, guess what I said?
Yeah.
That was a moment where I was like, oh, Simpsons, you made a good joke then. Don't pat yourself on the back too much. But then Homer
liked it in the same sense of, okay, first of all, I like the you're barking up the wrong bush joke, and it was similar to that. But also, it was more so the fact that he saw his kids fighting, and then he made a joke that he found so funny, he just ran off to tell Marge without even resolving the issue. So I like that.
Again, like you were saying before, Diana, this golden retriever Homer, it has the same energy of him getting the 3-chambered peanut and going, Marge, look at what I did. So yeah, I totally feel the heart for that. And yeah, similarly with Lisa, that's what I find kind of interesting about the story. It's not just Lisa, her new friend, turned out to be more of a bitch than she thought. It's a bit more complex than that. It is someone that had a nerdy interest with her that was then the bully of this group that then found a way to stop getting bullied, and now she's there. But it's a bit more interesting and complicated, and that's why the heart in this does work.
Yeah, I agree.
But ultimately, does it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yes.
Yeah. Bart was there, Lisa was there, that the bald dad was there. It felt like The Simpsons.
Yeah, long blue hair was there. Grandpa was there under that elaborate Hot Wheels setup. I liked that.
I do think it feels very much like season 20 to 30 Simpsons. I know this came out slightly after, but it feels like that specific era, but one of those episodes from there that you go, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that give you hope again.
Yay, we're doing 2 tonight. I wonder how the next one's gonna go.
I haven't even looked at what the other one is, so I have no idea if I should kill myself now or be happy.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. But as far as this one goes, yes or no, would you watch it again?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what?
Feel
Maybe
I would.
And I don't know if we're building a Bart Lisa dynamic playlist and we throw in Lisa on Ice in there and a couple of other key others. Yeah, this one works.
The field trip to Capital City.
Birthday parties.
100%.
Lisa getting a new friend that will only show up in this episode.
Yep.
True. Don't have enough money to bring back Lisa Kudrow, Christina Ricci, who else? Winona Ryder.
She's got to stop getting friends with expensive voices.
Yeah.
Aim lower.
Joey King's cheap now, but just you wait. She was in Dark Knight Rises.
Well, it'll be even cheaper when the AI voice replaces her for the season 50 episode.
Yeah. Have you guys watched that video on Hank Azaria hearing AI programmed voices?
I don't want to make myself sadder than I am. I check the news.
Yeah. No, it's pretty funny. He's criticizing their technique and everything.
That's
nice.
But no episode is perfect, and certainly not this one. BT, what would you like to change about this?
I mean, I kind of feel like we've brushed upon it, but I want there to maybe be a different prank at the end. It just doesn't quite work for me, and I think we can lose that, bit with Bart and the horse. I know what they're doing, but I don't think you need it. This is really more Lisa's journey.
Wait, hold on. Sorry to interrupt. Bart was also not scared of that horse that he had to get pregnant.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of horses Bart's not been scared of.
So how about you, Diana? What would you like to change about this one?
Other than the horse inconsistencies, okay, my biggest issue with it was kind of the B plot didn't really pack enough. It should have either been quicker for more A story or been better.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the worst of both worlds there.
Yeah, and kind of leading into what I change, I feel like the B-plot should have just been jokes. Homer's grandstanding did nothing but eat up time, and like you said, Beach was making a point that it never set up at the start of the episode of a reluctance to go out because of how much nicer Home is or whatever.
Yeah, it was just weird that Homer set this up as a surprise, but then made a speech about how you should never make plans. It's just but you made plans.
Yeah.
Of your own volition.
Yeah, and all the B plot needed to be in this one was a series of funny gags to stop them from helping Lisa. And then, yeah, as you pointed out, Beach, they're kind of on a cruise. Even if they knew what was going wrong, they're fucked. They couldn't do anything. And then, okay, there's what I'd change. They'd rally everybody and get Weezer to help them fucking get back to land and give them a bit more to do in this episode.
The one thing that I do think that the cruise like really adds that something else couldn't is more so them not being at home. They needed some excuse to not be at home because Lisa was able to call Grandpa. So
Yeah, I agree on that.
it would like fuck that up. So they had to be away somewhere, and I think that was a good enough thing. And them being away from land, I think, is why some of the texts and calls cut out, because reception was shitty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, they covered their bases. It's just do more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just if you're streamlining, that's, something...
Be better.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with this episode. I feel like both stories just had so much more to give, and it's almost like they didn't believe that. And yeah, starting up with the mailman box, like, why? Because that's just setting up a cutaway of how Lisa and this person met, where you can just have Lisa and this person meet. And especially if, Addie is going through her own bullying thing and then sees a mark in Lisa while she's in the library avoiding the bullies, like... That sets up your fucking story. And yeah, especially when the mailman box doesn't do anything, yeah. All right, I think we are here. It's time for final notes.
Now it's time. Final notes, everyone's final notes.
Oh, we're getting through them quickly. Diana, do you have any more final notes about this episode you want to mention before we rank it?
Okay, I liked the bit about they saw the mansion and Homer said they're so rich they use their garage for cars.
Yeah. I had
Great
that as a
joke.
note. Yeah.
And less good, but I still like the fact that there was the really strict itinerary, and Homer said they're so rich they know the future.
Yeah.
I got a small chuckle out of that.
Yeah,
Pickups
same
at
here.
10 and yada, and there'll be gift bags.
The only other notes I have are that person's from Old Money, which is MySpace.
Yeah.
Which that's a sad joke when you realize The Simpsons was already 15 years old when MySpace started.
Oh, anytime I hear MySpace, I was like, huh. I was using that in uni when I was first going to uni.
Wild.
And I just like that on Homer's phone when Lisa called him, it said Lisa Simpson, the smart one.
Yeah.
I found that funny.
PT, how about you? Any other notes?
Yep. So they do a Jurassic Park parody where Addie's driving Lisa around the kind of their grounds, and Lisa does the whole turn their shocked head look to see they actually own horses, and it's because that's what they bonded over. That's a real nice moment. I didn't then need an actual dinosaur walking in the background, which is again a bit of that Simpsons getting bored of their own ideas, or I don't know, just taking the reference in the wrong direction.
Especially because they had the music, they were riding in the Jeep. Lisa does the same pose standing out of the car, and they're wearing the same outfits.
They need you to know. Most people watching this weren't born when that movie came out.
I mean,
yeah,
true,
and adding a dinosaur in the background doesn't fucking help either.
It does. Lisa should have looked at the camera and said, "This is like Jurassic Park."
Yeah.
only with horses.
2, The
Ooh.
Lost World, yeah.
Yep. There's a bit where they're going to watch some show. I missed what it was, but Lisa's like,
I think it's meant to be a Riverdale.
I know, definitely meant to be a Riverdale parody, which now I understand why that was a Riverdale parody. But, I do like Lisa's line of, I can't watch that show. It glamorizes inappropriateness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cute.
Well, yeah, her being afraid of the show as well helped sell it, because, it wasn't enough that the girls were, making fun of her for the toy, but then, when they put on the, adult situation show, that Lisa got a bit scared of it all.
The guy does commit suicide by mouth dynamite. That's fair enough.
Oh, man, I did pop for the line, though. I'm going to ask her goes to prom.
Yeah.
I don't know what Riverdale is, and I was like, haha, fucking got him.
To my understanding, it's a show that, kept having to get stupider and more extreme.
Yeah.
To the point where it had villain arcs for the good characters for kind of no reason. I don't know. And let's see, when Weezer's set list blows away, they're like, oh no, our band was on that. What songs do we know? Okay. Look, we have, a little bit of Largo is seen, Mr. Largo is seen in the photo booth with another gentleman. That's implication, and that's enough. But, it's nice to see them kind of paying off what they've always said about him. So, yeah. It's something.
And it was a weirdly specific dig where Homer was like, oh, so you can all just get dressed up and go to a photo booth and hold up mustaches on a stick. And I'm like, Yeah, that is a really specific fucking weird thing we do in the Instagram booth age of parties. Yeah,
it's weird.
Mr. Largo is in his mid-40s. He's unmarried.
Yeah. The real deal with Mr. Largo. One of the reasons Bart gives for not liking horses is like, no creature should be that jacked. And it's like, yeah, fair. You look at a horse sometimes, like, that's a lot of musculature.
Oh,
what's up with that?
Same. Like, because my brother has horses as well, and it's just like, how much do you bench, bro? Like, you got veins.
You're like, yeah. And sorry, my last couple of notes are actually the two band names I've gotten out of this conversation. Likeable Bitch is a good pop punk, and Horse Inconsistencies is a good prog metal band.
Oh, yeah. Dream Theater. Fucking go back to the woodshed, mate.
Yep.
I only had one other thing because, yeah, y'all mentioned all my final notes, but I did like when Homer knocked all the booze into the water. Dr. Hibbert called the time of death for the party. It's just like, you killed the buzz and the vibes or whatever. Time of death. Like, yeah, good Dr. Hibbert joke.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it is time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you go, okay, bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Man, I'm tempted by a silver on this one, but I just don't know if it quite gets there. Like, I'm going to write down bronze, but the BT right to maybe blurt something out later, but maybe a silver. I don't know. BT, what do you reckon?
I've got the same vibe. Like, I kind of want to go a silver, but then I think maybe there's just not quite enough jokes, or maybe the story didn't quite land well enough. Like, it's one of those ones that you could, the argument can certainly be made, and I want to, because it feels like it's definitely a cut above, well, you know, some of the other things we've seen. But I think I'm going to have to settle with a bronze. Just a couple more laugh out loud moments, a little bit tighter in the storytelling. I think it would have made it, but it's just falling short.
I said I was going to write it down. I still haven't actually written it down yet. What do you reckon, Diana?
I'm surprised you guys are so torn, because for me, this was like the quintessential bronze. It was something I would rewatch. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it at the time, and I will think of it fondly, but it's not that great. It had some moments.
Yeah, that's where I'm stuck, is that things that I've given silver are much better than this. And I think I'm only torn because it's like, it is a cut above most bronzes, but I think you've got a point
every
there,
bronze
Diana.
has to, like, everything in bronze tier has high and lows.
Yeah.
You can look at it and think that's one of the good ones, but
yeah,
it's still bronze.
Yeah, I mean, just to that as well, I think when you did ask the would you watch it again question, I was like, yeah, I think so, and that's kind of very bronze.
You know what? And I said, in the context of a playlist, sure, where it's like, I'm not probably gonna. I think I told him myself.
And massive plot holes, like the girl laughing, the horses.
And that said, it's a lot like we were talking last week with Sean about how, because it's never just on anymore, and you're not just walking through a room being like, oh, this episode, yeah, cool, I'll sit down. It's harder to gauge sometimes because we just don't do that anymore.
No, for real. All right, well, unanimous bronze. We are giving this episode the bronze finger.
Bronze finger.
And it'll be the third bronze we're giving from season 31. It'll join Bobby, It's Cold Outside as a Christmas episode with Sideshow Bob.
I don't remember that.
We reviewed it with Danny like only a few fucking episodes ago. That was 273. Like, we should remember it. Oh, that got a silver bronze participant split though.
Oh,
so
damn.
Divisive. Bobby, It's Cold Outside.
Like it.
But it'd also be joining Todd, Why Hast Thou Forsaken Me? Another bronze from this season.
Very much potential.
Another high bronze, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one that could have been silver, maybe even gold if it wasn't for the third act.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, otherwise a mixed bag, but a pretty good season that actually has some genuine bangers in there, like Live in La Pura Vida, where they go to Puerto Rico, Thanksgiving of Horror, and what was the other one? Oh, Highway to Well, our top-rated episode of the 30s.
Was this the last season before they got the new like showrunner in, or?
I thought it's still technically Al Jean, but like it's just kind of shared around a bit.
Yeah, it's hard to tell where these kind of things take over.
It feels better, so I think the bad bits of Al Jean got cleaned away, and the good one.
Well, yeah, 30 to 31 is where the Disney deal happens, so yeah. Maybe the mouse had some positive influences on them.
Yeah,
yes.
but I said it's always hard to tell where in production something was by the time the merger happens. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting place we find ourselves in right now is because they're in production for season 37. It is not confirmed yet.
Ooh.
And this has been like one of the longest times like before they're meant to start airing episodes from that season. And fingers crossed they cancel it. Anyway, but until then, all right, well, it is time to move on to another episode, and this one is called Iron Marge. Dun, 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 Iron Marge.
Or is it more like Iron Maiden?
Oh.
We'll find out.
All right, we're going to watch that. We'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our final episode for the evening. This was Season 35, Episode 6, Iron Marge. First released in November of 2023, it was directed by Matthew Fornan, written by Mike Scully. In this episode, it's Marge's birthday, and the kids kind of bungle getting her a thoughtful Christmas Jesus Christ.
You want to do that again?
Not particularly.
Takes her.
In this episode, it's Marge's birthday, and the
Homer
kids
gives her a bowling ball that says Homer on it.
It is a few episodes, this one. We'll tick those off as we go, but yeah, this very derivative plot. Marge's birthday, and the kids kind of screw up getting her a thoughtful fucking I did it again. That means I'm leaving it all in. They screw up getting her a thoughtful birthday present, and they do what they can to make it up to her once they feel guilty. And in the B story, Homer finds out about this alarmist app where you let people know about potentially troubling things happening in the area, and he becomes obsessed with getting to the top of the leaderboards. Hey, y'all, what'd you think?
I
like this one. I'd already seen it before, so this is my second time.
There we go. Now that we're only doing new ones, I've just abandoned the question, have you seen this one before?
Yeah, no.
Because generally,
fair.
no. And in my case, no. BT, no?
No.
Diana?
Yeah, no, I saw this. I watched it sometime last year, and I liked it then, and I like it now.
I think you were saying, you did a bit of a season 35 binge, yeah.
Yeah, I did a binge of pretty much everything that was out until I caught up on... I think they're up to, 36 of the new one, and I've only seen a couple episodes of that. But before 36 came out, I watched all of 35, 34, and I think 33.
Wow, then you've seen more than I have, because basically if we haven't done it on the podcast yet, I haven't seen it. There's only a couple of episodes which are the exception to that rule.
We like our opinions raw.
Well, also... After 8 years of reviewing Simpsons, I'm not as enthused to keep up to date, and there are a lot of things to watch, and Belatro is still my number one priority. And
you're still a Belatro bitch.
Wait until Simpsons do an episode about it in 10 years.
Oh, absolutely. And on this episode, look, I didn't like it at the beginning, but I came around to it at the end. I feel like it did more or less stick the landing.
Yeah, I think my high point was about the middle, which is interesting. Because, a bit of a slow start. Then I'm like, okay, well, now we're in it. I'm a little more into this. And it's one of those ones I'm going to have a difficulty quantifying what didn't work for me. But mixed feels.
And what about you, Diana? What was the journey with you watching this episode?
It's an episode that I liked it even more the second time because this episode is very well plotted in the sense that it doesn't really drop any threads. Everything keeps coming back up. Yeah. So when I rewatched it, I was like, okay, this happened because that happened, and it will lead to this happening, and I could appreciate it more that time. But I still enjoyed it on my first run. I think I have a soft spot for Marge episodes, and also the very specific niche of Marge is a human who gets mistreated and she feels sad, but she's also so Marge-ish that she can't properly process it or know how to feel. So it's like got me exactly. It's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Is like because that's kind of the perspective that we just haven't brought with some of the newer ones. And certainly with the classic episodes, they're all ones that we'd seen dozens, maybe 100 times each. Whereas like we can forgive some of its episodes like the weaker parts if we've enjoyed it on multiple occasions, and that is kind of the thing that I try to keep in mind when I'm watching these newer episodes, in that maybe they do have repeat value, and going back to it, like, it's easier to write it off the first time, and certain things don't stick in your memory as much because you've only seen it the once.
Yeah.
It doesn't help, though, that, like you said, this is like 5 episodes I've seen squished together, and most of those episodes I'm thinking of weren't particular highlights either.
No. Like, especially when you're going back to the Marge birthday, when we've had such a good Marge birthday episode to kick off the series, it's about what you do with it 30-something years later, when... but having said that, I also didn't like the Jacques episode as much as a lot of people did, so whatever.
I don't know if you heard it. I'm sure you heard the sirens going off.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
were getting
I was
ready
about
to
to
get
say.
you for your strong Jacques opinions, because that is a perfect episode. How dare you not love it? That episode actually, like, it resonates more with time when I realized Marge was, like, 34. And I'm like,
yeah, okay.
It introduced the world to brunch. So
there was no brunch before it.
No.
That was an Albert Brooks improv.
it comes with a slice of cantaloupe at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he also invented the concept of having 4 onion rings.
All right, let's crack into this. Diana, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you from this one?
Okay, so I will just say that in addition to this episode being many episodes, it was interesting to see Homer be a sort of safety inspector.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that before.
Oh, you might even call him a safety salamander.
Oh, man.
And
Yeah.
he
Or a
was-
baby proofer. Or
Yeah, it's a couple of Homer... and yeah, I almost appreciate that they didn't make the direct reference to him being a town safety inspector, like, because that could have been an easy job, that the nuclear power plant's on fire and he's ignoring it because he's obsessed with the leaderboard.
Homer was also taking this news and basically making stuff up. And it reminded me of when he had, I think it was Mr. X was what it was called, his old website.
From the Island episode.
Yeah, they have a perfect episode. I'm sure some people love that one.
Well, I mean, speaking of which, like, because it stood out to me that this was written by Mike Scully, who, if y'all don't know this off the top of your head, he was the showrunner from seasons 9 till 12, 10 to 12,
Yeah.
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
And yeah, a lot of people, point to him and say he's part of the downfall of the show. I'm more in the it's Al Jean camp, but whatever.
The way I've heard it described is Mike Scully the building started to fall over, and then Al Jean took over and it fell over.
You were meant to watch it, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I just had a quick look. Yeah, I don't think he's like been the credited writer for many, many years, because he's like gone off and done Parks and Rec and a bunch of other things, and like
Did he
even
put Jockey Elves in Parks and Rec as well?
I believe
in
they're
that Immortal episode.
hidden in the background. You gotta keep an eye out.
If you know, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting that having him return to the fold. I don't remember what my exact point was, but yeah.
It's interesting having him return to the fold.
Yeah. Continue with your thing that stood out, Diana.
Oh no, I was gonna basically say this is like several episodes.
Yes.
Including I can think of a few episodes off the top of my head, but the premise is basically buy this present selfishly instead of getting the thing someone wants.
Yeah.
Nothing's original anymore. It's the execution that matters, and I think this did it well.
Yeah,
No, but I think that's the original thing here, because usually that's a Homer default thing, whether it's for Marge or for the kids. The fact that it's the kids this time, and I even like the detail that Homer's present to Marge was like a bracelet charm, because I know more than a few people whose partners have a Pandora bracelet, and that's just all they do for gifts. And it's like, damn, that's kind of an easy thing, but it's also, $300 for something that's not even a square centimeter, whatever. Anyway.
If you're cheap, you get like those little things put on your Crocs. It's the same.
Interesting.
Crocs, budget Pandora charms.
Yeah.
You just watch. Pandora will get into the Crocs game.
Yeah,
And
give it time.
solid sterling silver Croc that you buy, $300 charms for.
It's a lot of clunk, clunk, clunk people walking around.
Yeah, they're not Crocs, they're clunks.
Ah.
Where was I going with that? Pandora. Speaking of avatars, BT, what stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm an avatar. Look, I'm gonna throw to two things because, why not? One, look, we've speculated before, when is The Simpsons gonna make a simp joke? And here it is.
Here it is.
Homer's username is the simp. And I'm like, there it is. We've been waiting. Didn't expect this, but okay.
It is weird that he basically improvs the name while already recording, when I feel like you would have had to type in a username before.
Oh,
I mean, I'll gently...
It's only a 3-bell salute.
Yeah, exactly. And my other thing I want to note is, similar to the last episode, I like the callback they make, which is when Bart and Lisa are drooling over this spy kit. They're like, and they've got, sour gummy cyanide capsules. And then later on, when they find out the lockpicks are genuine lockpicks, like, kind of worried about those cyanide gummies now.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a throwaway joke that you called back to. I quite like that.
Yeah. And what stands out to me? Look, I'm charmed by Homer's obsession with the leaderboard and sort of losing focus of the purpose of the initial activity. Like, it does remind me of my dad, who's like, he's a lifelong skier, absolutely obsessed with the thing. But then a few years ago, Mount Perisher introduced this whole tracking your vertical meters thing, where it'd scan your lift pass as you're going through the gates and do a tally of your assumed vertical meters. And he became obsessed. There were a few years there where he topped the leaderboard with over 1 million vertical meters. But the thing is, he wasn't going around skiing and exploring the mountain. He was just doing the most optimal run over and over and over again, all day, every day. And I tried
just
joining
about the numbers, man.
Yeah, and I don't know, going out with him skiing, I like to, explore the mountain and go see the sights and everything. And I tried doing it with him for a while, and it's just first of all, trying to keep it up with him was a fucking nightmare because he just zooms. But I think it was last year that they actually got rid of it, and he was pretending he wasn't, but he was so cut.
I thought it'd be free. Oh, sorry, just to throw to that, I also, in that era, I know there were message boards where people thought he was a myth.
Yeah.
Because they were like, no mortal man could possibly ski this much.
People trying to do the math and see, he's wrong. And he's like, guys, I'm a person.
I like your dad became a mythical figure from skiing too much.
Yeah, I had no idea your dad was a cryptid.
Oh, yeah. They say late at night, if you listen, you can hear old O'Neill skiing.
And then he started digging holes to get negative vertical miles.
Skiing with the chuds, yeah.
Yep.
Have either of you become obsessed with a leaderboard?
I thought you were going to say, have either you ever become mythical figures? And I was like, no,
have either
but
of
it's
you
my
gone
life's
down
goal.
a sinkhole to visit the chuds?
Not really. But one of my brothers, he has one of those apps where you report fuel prices and stuff, and he's very into it.
Oh.
And he'll sometimes be he'll be really into it, and then he'll complain about how some information's misleading by other users, and I'm just wow, I'm happy you have a hobby, but
yeah, I don't think I've
He's
ever
posting citations on the fuel app. I love it. Sorry,
yeah,
Mitch.
I don't think I've ever come across anything that wasn't already so advanced. The person in first was so far ahead it was impossible, or that there wasn't already ways of gaming the system that just wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever got sucked into it. I probably could, but I've never been at the ground level of something.
Yeah, the video game equivalent where I got closest to it, or maybe there was a few, but the one that springs to mind anyway is Rayman Legends for the Wii U.
Yeah.
And I was able to get up there for the daily challenges and stuff like that because, again, the Wii U was such a undersold console and there were so few active players that, yeah, I was able to get up there with Rayman Legends, but then, yeah, when it was released for the Switch, a different story entirely. I had no chance.
I should see if it's still active. I've got the Vita version, so...
Oh!
Even fewer players.
Are those servers even still active? I know Wii U's are shut down, but...
yeah, Vita is still active. You can't release games for it, but you can... The PSN still works for it and stuff.
Oh, wow. So, the store's still up
yeah,
and,
the store's
the
still
servers...
up.
Interesting.
You can still buy old PlayStation 1 games, and I've been pirating them, but in spirit, I'm paying for them.
Yeah, well, before we get a bit more libelous, let's move on to the wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
I don't see any notes of whack. Curious. Let me double check. Surely. I mean, I guess cyanide gummies technically, but
Well, yeah, just jumping off from the leaderboard thing. So, yeah, Homer's gotten onto this alarmist app and he's reporting every little thing and then gets in a rival with Agnes, you know.
Silver bullet.
Yeah, the silver bullet versus the simp. I like this, you know, especially going into the new era of Simpsons. It's how do you vary up the show, do different character combos.
Yeah, and there was something interesting about, you know, the silver bullet didn't stay a mystery. I kind of expected that's what it was going to do, and later on you'd find out who it was. But now the fact we find out almost immediately it's Agnes and they have a direct rivalry is refreshing.
Yeah, and totally just the perfect person that would be reporting petty complaints about bullshit. Yeah, absolutely makes sense for her to get involved.
God, they're not so much whack, it's just a weird moment. So this whole thing starts off with, like, there's a truck crash outside and everyone goes running out and a bunch of, you know, snarky women make fun of Marge's robe in a riff I did quite like, where she's like, do you have a cord belt? And I'm like, they're ragging on her cord.
Yeah, there we go.
But the double line of like, well, I lost my robe belt and Bart lost his phone, it made sense. But then, like, a bunch of lanterns just get released from the truck. And I was like, was that a lantern truck?
Well, because, yeah, the truck crashed, but then the electric thing caused the explosion, which then caused the lanterns to rise.
Right, okay. That's what I was asking, because I feel like I may have just missed it.
It was a sign on the truck that said it was lanterns.
All right, I might have been writing down the phrase, the top of my crack.
Yeah, because Marge's robe is so worn that, you can basically see most of her back.
And crack.
It's not as good as the Playboy issue, but it's up there.
All-time Simpsons moments, yeah. The episode also kicks off with a bit of wackiness, or should I say wickiness, as it does a bit of a John Wick parody. And I loved this. I gotta say.
I just love the line. The bad guy walks in and says, "It's time to die." You scream for ice cream, Mr. John Wick 4.
Yeah.
Just saying the title is his name, that got me.
Yeah. Oh, and it was a great action sequence with the fight as well, and the cone going into his chest, the blood comes out of the thing, and it's like, it didn't lead to anything, but Bart just going, this movie that Mum didn't want me to watch is amazing.
Yeah, or even Bart just watching TV under a blanket. That was pretty good.
Yeah, brings me back to watching TV on a blanket.
So when you watch John Wick.
I still haven't actually seen any of them. And
Same, I was worried that I was the odd one out.
No, and I've now reviewed 2 episodes of The Simpsons that directly reference the franchise.
You gotta have a talk with your mum, man. She's got to let you watch those movies.
Look, if they star Simpsons people in them, I'll watch them. But
I haven't seen any of the Matrix movies either, but I have seen all 3 Bill and Ted movies, so that's basically all I know.
That's all you need in life.
The real time-traveling classics, yeah. The Keanu sons started and ended there.
Yep.
What about you, Diana? Is there any wacky or cartoony moments from this one that stood out to y'all?
I don't know if it would be cartoony so much, but like the sinkhole opening up at the exact time it did is cartoon logic, but the world's falling apart, so yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, at least they set it up with Homer like, ooh, it's a sprinkler leaking, and you're like, Homer complaining again, but it actually did lead to the thing.
Yeah, and I also like they've issued so many warnings about the park. Everyone's been, because every time he issues one, someone leaves a very innocent situation, but everyone runs away from the park, and that's why they don't get help. It's like that.
They also both coincidentally dropped their phones while falling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but to your point before, Diana, it's that, therefore... And so this happens rather than just that and then writing. It's all logical and has consequence and things like that.
And also, while bringing up things that reminded me of, remember when Bart was stuck in the well?
All the way down.
It's a few episodes, yes. But, no one ever choked on a Werther's Original in an episode as far as I know. But, yeah. Werther's Original. Great candy. I love butterscotch.
You've entered your old man phase. Enjoy it.
But, I mean, that was a nice moment with Homer and Agnes in there, but I guess that's getting into heart. Oh, look, we may as well get into heart, because I don't feel like we've gotten into the main meat of this episode, which is the whole Marge and the kids dynamic. So, how was the heart with all that?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really love that Bart and Lisa are actually playing together with the spy gear, and... the fact that they both kind of cave to wanting it as well, that's a very childish thing, but yeah, they're children.
Yeah, and they saw the easy way out of the situation with getting the free ironing board cover with a credit card, and like The detail that I really liked about this, Marge did her when she opened those presents. Oh, great. And then when she put them in the cupboard later, revealed that she already had a Bullseye ironing board cover. I'm like, oh, that is great joke telling right there.
Yeah, or even things like Bart's Bullseye ironing board cover is just in the Bullseye plastic bag it came in.
Yeah, he didn't even wrap it. He just folded the plastic bag.
Yep.
Which, you know, wrapping paper is a scourge on our environment, but...
Wrapping paper is just a con.
Plastic bags are good, though. That's...
Oh, yeah, we should totally bring in wrapping plastic. That's the way it should go. Yeah, you said you loved it, Diana. What else did you love about this?
Okay, so I like the fact that Bart and Lisa genuinely, with their kid logic, think Marge loved the present, and they only find out with the spy gear that she didn't. And we get, first of all, like one scene that I love, which is Bart saying, she loved the ironing board cover, she won't stop muttering about it.
Yeah.
But I love that they specifically eavesdrop on Marge letting out her frustrations to Flanders, and she doesn't really know how to, like, process what's going on. She's one of those people that thinks it's kind of selfish to, like, want to be treated right.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking, and I love it.
Yeah, I was curious how they were going to reveal that, because Marge would never be like, oh, these presents were bullshit, but she just has the line of like, they just treat me like an afterthought sometimes, and yeah, that's enough. In amongst Flanders' jokes of, let's see, I don't normally take my water with ice, but we were going hard last night.
Water on the rocks, even.
Yeah, water on the rocks, that was it.
Yeah, that was very, like, wintergrain level of joke, and I'm like, yeah, unflavored for me, yeah. And I do like in that moment as well, but like, because you always know that the spy gear is there to set up them not only finding out, but also using it to solve the problem. It's like, I'm fine to go with the emotions on that one. It's predictable, but hey, it's good storytelling.
Yeah.
And I like it where, like, Bart still needs to be a bit convinced, and even after hearing it, Lisa's like, hey, but come on, how would you feel if she half-tushied our birthdays? And then that's the turnaround, and like, yeah, guilty Bart. I thought... displaying that emotion in the animation and the voice acting worked really well here.
And also I quite like the, little snippet at the end where using the spy gear, they like fake the sound of a car accident so everyone comes running out and can admire Marge's new robe. Yeah. That's nice.
And yeah, real bookends the episode with those matching scenes, yeah.
And with spy gadgets, not only do they use that to unlock the memory chest, they use it to do their investigation to find the parrot. So it keeps being brought up. This feels like the kind of thing where, and I'm sure you guys watching it for the first time probably expected them to buy it, realize that Marge was hurt, and then they just never bring it up again. They throw it out or something, but they kept bringing it back. So this feels like an episode that had 2 drafts, which is amazing.
For real. Yeah,
2 draft Scully, they called him.
And it's like also just that kid thing of like, I've got a new toy. How can I incorporate it into all aspects of my life?
Well, because like when it was brought up, like talking about the predictability, I thought, oh, they're just going to like keep listening into Marge. Like I liked that the story kept like using it in different ways. Like, yeah, initially listening to Marge to hear that she didn't like the presents and feels like an afterthought, but then it was, bringing the pen in at the end to fake the crash, or using the pen with a recording of Marge's voice to lure in the parrot. Like, they kept using it in new and interesting ways, the lockpick, and never got to pay off the cyanide pills, but whatever.
It's how they got rid of the parrot.
Something I noticed on this rewatch, don't even think I noticed the first time. To the best of my knowledge, this is the second time we've seen Marge has got a memory box in her bedroom, because there was the one in 3 Gays at the condo.
Oh, true.
I looked it up on Frankiac, and they're both designed differently, so it's not a one-to-one thing, but still.
Hey, it's something of a memory.
Yeah. It's nice to see that pay off in like 2 different ways. And that episode used it as Homer finding out that Marge was sad this one time, whereas this was the kids learning something nice about, or seemingly nice about Marge, and like really connecting with her, and I kind of loved that.
Yeah, so that sets off the kids to go off this journey to, I love the name here, North Townsburg, to go find this childhood parrot of Marge's. And yeah, they have this cute little adventure to get that, where they keep telling people to stay in town. And
it also, on list of episodes this reminds me of when Bart was looking for Santa's little helper.
Yes. Doesn't show him as much love in this episode. Where's that scene? It's like, go away, boy, we're busy with something else, and just kicks the door behind
That's
him.
because Bart always wants what he doesn't have.
Exactly.
Yep.
But yeah, the parrot as well was a twist. It wasn't just they brought the parrot back and Marge was happy. There was an extra layer there that the parrot was so protective of Marge and like kept ripping out her hair
shit.
and throwing up on her.
Have you ever had a pet parrot?
No. Beach?
I briefly did.
Really?
My mum for a few years had a cockatoo, and birds that smart deserve lots of attention, more attention than like we can give them. They're very high maintenance, very smart birds, and they're very destructive because they really need lots of stimulation, which we couldn't give, and we found some better owners for them. But yeah, they in captivity without the right stimulation, they are destructive, noisy, irritating little shits, and this really captured it like perfectly.
Yeah, well, one of the things that the TikTok algorithm fed into me, which I didn't know I had an interest in, but apparently now I do, is there's a couple of accounts that just document their African grey birds, which are this bird. And anyone else who knows them on TikTok, Gizmo and Apollo, they're these really smart birds. Apollo has the Guinness World Record for being able to identify the most objects of any known parrot.
He knows what glass is and what Wario is.
Yeah. Have you seen this bird, Beach?
I have not, but if it knows what Wario is...
Yeah.
Yeah. Big vocabulary.
Yeah, so like it not only identifies items, but it can be asked, what is this made of? And it can say glass or metal. And it can identify a few colors, not many, but it knows purple, red, and black. And yeah, and one of the things it knows is Wario, and it tried to they tried to teach it Shrek, but he kept saying Shrock, so they 3D printed a croc with Shrek ears on it, so that they could present it to him and say, yeah, that's right.
Rock.
Anyway, shout out to Apollo. I hope you're listening. And I want to hear Apollo say, did it feel? Like
6-point scale. 6-point scale.
And we don't want Apollo to start doing racist things like what Petey the parrot seemingly did, and thankfully we didn't hear it.
Yeah. A nice, implied joke of Bart going, we didn't make any friends. Sorry?
Yeah, we didn't make any friends on the bus. Petey's a little racist.
Yeah. And Marge going, I didn't want a parrot when I was a kid. I wanted a kitten. Meow, meow. You're not a kitten. Like, I loved how this scene unfolded. I got totally played. It was so unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, I did expect either they'd open the box and the parrot would be dead, or Marge didn't actually want the parrot when she was a kid. But I do like how they explain it, that the parrot's just super protective, and the way it shows affection is grooming, aka ripping out Marge's hair. And even the explanation of, she wanted a kitten, but her dad thought, this parrot meows close enough.
Yeah.
They shoved the bird in that tiny little case.
Yeah, that was my thing as well. Yeah, they're going to do a 3-hour journey with a bird.
That's why I thought it might be dead.
Stainless steel box. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he kept saying racist stuff the whole time, so they knew he was alive.
Deserves to be in an Ellis steel box. All right, but ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? These are characters we know and love. Is this a show we know and love?
Yeah, no, it's got Petey. It's got North
classic
Townsburg.
character.
Yeah.
What do you need?
It felt like several episodes. What do you want? I feel like there is a bit of an integrity break where Lisa doesn't know Marge's real name.
Yeah, that was because I twigged to that as well, where they go, well, I know her name's Margaret, and I'm like, that's Maggie. But then they go, oh, it's Marjorie.
This is earlier in the timeline before I found that out.
I mean, you can kind of forgive it because, at what point did you discover your parents' real names? I might have been older than 8. I don't think I was. I have no idea. So,
I'm still sure mine are called Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
It's weird. Most people have that.
Show me the birth certificate. I only have mine.
Their names should be on your birth certificate.
Oh, yeah, true. Well,
somewhere.
My dad actually lied about his job for all 3 of our birth certificates. So, he's like a carpenter's apprentice on mine, and then, something...
There's an astronaut on your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, may as well dream big, but also, why the fuck are they putting his occupation on a birth certificate?
I think that was his point that he was trying to prove,
Yeah, what's the... It's like, oh, no, you can't be Elliot O'Neill. He's the son of a carpenter. You aren't.
One good thing about it is that I can kind of pinpoint, it's nice to think about what your parents were doing when they were your age.
Yeah.
So I can just be like, wow, my dad was still in that job.
My
That's
dad was
so
lying on official forms.
Yep.
That are going to stay with me
Skiing
for
down
life.
mountains and lying on forms. That's
Getting a few shout-outs this episode.
Was,
eh?
was he lying about the skiing?
I mean, he could have been. Like,
What's true anymore? We don't know.
if he lied on his son's birth certificate, it's like incredibly likely he'd lie to his son. Yeah, look, I don't have a lot of problem with the character integrity. Like, as well, Homer, like, this feels like such a Homer story, like, not a Homer Jobs, but a Homer interest sort of thing. And, yeah, he's golden retrievering through it, best of intentions, but then, yeah, gets so focused on the dangling carrot of the number one slot.
Yeah, there's something, I mean, I'd prefer to if we could see him start to get obsessed with this rather than just be like, oh, this app, I want to be number one immediately and it's the most important thing. But at the same time, it's like, fine, I don't care so much that I'm going to be mad about it. It's just, it's weird to be told directly, that's what this is about.
Yeah, and, like, it's meant to be the jokey B story. Like, it doesn't need to have all the
which is why it
solid
doesn't bother me
story.
too much.
But then, like, that's why it's extra surprising that they kind of land some heart moment at the end with Homer and Agnes coming to an understanding, and, like, he helps her, you know, not choke on a Werther's original, and he's like, oh, I've been mongering fear this whole time, and this is the feeling that I actually like, mongering life, you know. And I think they landed that. That's the other thing, for a lot of complaints about this episode, which I have more. I don't feel like I've gotten into enough. I feel like they stuck the landing on both these stories.
All right. But Elliot, what are some of your complaints?
Well, that would go into what would I change. But first of all, yes or no, would you watch it again?
Yes.
BT trying to put the questionnaire on me.
Well, fuck you. I believe yes.
Yeah, I'd be down for watching it again. And yeah, what would we like to change? BT, you first.
I mean, it's... I'm not entirely sure, because this is one where I'm like, I didn't love this one terribly much, but at the same time, I can't pin down why. The vibes were off for me. I didn't vibe with it. That's the best I got. Fix them vibes. But I don't know specifically what, so it feels like an invalid point, because if I can't really identify what's not working, how am I supposed to talk about it? So, things. I would change some things.
All right. How about you, Diana? What would you like to change about this one?
Well, I think, like, structurally this episode is really good. So my only issue is just for very boring, add more jokes. I don't think there's much wrong with the episode.
Yeah.
It's just not hitting as hard as it could.
Yeah, I'm with you there, because, like, especially starting the episode and getting running, like, I was talking about the predictability. Like, I feel like now just, like, quickly looking over my notes, that sort of was more of a problem in the beginning, but, like, it was then in the back end that they used all the spy gear to differing and interesting effect. Whereas, I think even you said it at the start of the podcast, PT, is that, like, it took a bit to get going, but once we got settled in, I was in the groove of it. But yeah, you're right. Like, the Homer story was a bit, oh, this is what I'm doing now. And it could have used a few more jokes, which isn't a satisfying or clever answer to give, but it's kind of the best I got right now. Why don't we go over those final notes in the section where I like to call the final notes.
Oof, plot twist.
Diana, what else happened in this episode?
The only note I have left is the kids are struggling to think of ways to get money because Otto doesn't buy clean urine anymore.
Yeah, I popped for that joke, I gotta admit.
Yeah.
It had to have a non-Otto drug joke was pretty clever.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really all I have.
Oh.
Yeah, no, like I said, most of my notes were just structural. Like, I wrote down every time the spy gear came back, or, like, at the beginning of the episode, the very beginning of the episode sets up both the A and B plot incredibly well, and then they end the episode with a callback to that. So, like I keep saying, the boring answer, it's like, all the bones on this are, like, pretty much perfect. Just put jokes in, because there weren't enough of them.
Yeah, 2 drafts Scully, you did well. Let's get a 3rd draft.
And it even had heart.
Yep.
Like, this is a pretty heartfelt episode, especially for a Mike Scully one.
Especially for a Mike Scully, especially for a 30s, yeah. And season 35, we haven't reviewed a lot of them yet, but it seems like a bit of a step down from the other 30s. Do you agree, Diana, or?
I don't think so, but also, I kind of watched season 33, 34, and 35 all out of order. I'd just pick through and be like, that description sounds all right. And then eventually I just saw which ones have I not seen yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. This one, when I think of episodes from the last several years, this was an episode that did stand out in my brain as that's one of the pretty decent ones.
I am glad I picked this one then, because I had the idea for the Hateful 8-year-olds because 288, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But this one I was like, Diana hasn't reviewed a 35 yet. How about this one?
Yeah, it's good. I'm actually, while you complain about all the things the episode didn't do well enough for your super high standards, I'm actually going to look up what episodes are in 35.
Yeah, it was also like a shorter season, and I've been told that there were a bit of struggles behind the scenes because it was the writers and directors strike season, so it had a reduced episode order as well, so like there are reasons, but doesn't justify, just explains.
What is it, like 16, 19 episodes in this season?
18.
18. I was close enough.
And BT, what about your final notes?
My final notes. They go to like Bullseye Mart, and it just says a big sign outside front that says, "Our logo looks like a target."
I missed that. That's because they're doing Target. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. When they're debating about buying the robe or buying the spy gear, they buckle and go for the spy gear, and then Lisa just shoves the robe in the fridge that's near the counter. And again, that's a good way of using the comedic space without having something wacky, unrelated happening in the background. Like,
yes,
she needs to not be carrying it anymore. Do something like shove it in the most pointless place possible.
Yeah, and it totally goes into where you go to a shopping center and someone's just dropped off the strawberries in the fucking bread aisle, and you're
or whatever. Like,
come on, mate,
just take it back, you wanker. Look, I like Bart's line when Marge unwraps the second ironing board cover and is like, well, what do you get someone who only has one ironing board cover?
Yeah. Oh, man, and I popped so much for the return from the act, and Marge is using the ironing board and like the Bullseye logo has imprinted on Homer's shirt. It's, that was good.
Let's see. There's a billboard that Homer warns people about, and then Milhouse is like, "Oh, I get it. Itch. It sounds like bit." And then Kirk cuts him off and goes, "Hey, don't. Your mother hates that word. Trust me." I'm like, okay, there's some background information there.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say that was a scene that I didn't like at all. Like, I didn't find any of that stuff funny, and then Homer just like dobbing on Reverend Lovejoy for nothing. It didn't do anything for me.
It feels like we already have this information, and it's just more of it. Again, I didn't dislike it, but Flanders has a decent line of like, Marge is like, I feel stupid about this, and Flanders is like, well, feelings aren't stupid. Some of them are evil, but they're not stupid.
Yeah,
that's some nice anti-heart, maybe. I don't know.
No, Flanders was kind of good in this episode, even setting up the plot with Bart and Lisa, like looking for chores to do for their neighbor, and Flanders is manicuring his lawn with nail scissors, and he goes, "Oh, you can pick up those 2 leaves for
I'll give you $44."
Yeah, I liked that as again an accelerated way to get through plot, but like I like that as using Flanders, and like even though I found it weird that it was just Flanders at Marge's birthday, no Rod and Todd, like, but I did like that it set up for Flanders and Marge to have that conversation.
When Homer and Agnes are arguing, he's like, "You smell like an old lady." "So do you." "I smell like a lot of things." And then, of course, naturally, I could only think of, "You smell like ointment and pee."
You smell like ointment and pee.
Yep. Bob's Burgers, everybody. Good show. There's something about, Bart telling both the mechanic and the woman at the store to stay in town, and they both have to cancel plans to go to weddings. I like it, and yet something just a little bit off on the pacing on it. I don't know.
It's weird the first time. It's funny the second time.
Yeah, the callback definitely helps. It's just, I don't know. Something's just, again, the vibes. The vibes, Elliot. What am I supposed to do about the vibes? When the parrot is loose and they're trying to stop it, Bart, throws a pillow at it, but just beams Marge directly in the head. That was funny. Marge's heart line of, "I wasn't an afterthought. I was a thought." That's nice. And just Marge hamming up, having a new dressing gown when they go outside. And she's like, "Oh, I think it came from over there," to show off the, sleeves, and then does a big dramatic twirl and saunters back. Yeah, that looked great.
Is that terry cloth? French terry cloth? Oh.
From, the Terry region of France.
Good shit.
It was a bit better than putting Weezer in at the end.
Yeah. Actually, there we go. Thank you for setting me up. The only guest star for this episode is Megan Mullally returning. They were there in the background.
Yeah, in spirit. Yeah, they never left.
They're like Stanley. They couldn't kick him out. Anyway, Megan Mullally is returning as Sarah Wiggum. It seems like she's just the voice for her now.
Yep.
Not one of these disappearing Lisa Friends guest voice actors.
Give it time. Maybe Lisa makes friends with Sarah Wiggum and poof.
That's the
forever.
death knell for any new character in The Simpsons being friends with Lisa.
Regulated to the background forever.
Wait until Flanders marries Sarah Wiggum, and then
He's really a black widower.
The fantasies, I didn't think anything of Bart's one for busting Nelson at therapy and using the recording against him, but I really liked the kid logic of Lisa's one where she's spying on the girls to get the latest fashion, then she has it, and then the girl's response is, oh, now Lisa's cool and we can't do anything about it.
I did pop for when she comes out of the fantasy, it's just like, yes, cry, Sherry, cry.
Yeah. Yep, I enjoyed that. It was silly, but when they're listening in on the town's conversation and Frank's arguing with his monster going, no, you're Frank's monster, not Frank. Frank mad. Like, I'm like,
by the way, it's not related to that at all, like, directly, but when I was looking through the list of season 35 episodes,
yes.
there is one called Frankenstein's Monster. Has nothing to do with this scene, but I just found that a very odd coincidence.
Oh, yeah, I have seen that title pop up. Like, what is it about?
Let's just say it's a Frank and Homer buddy-up episode.
Maybe I'll regret what I said before
Historically
about
not
saying
gone
mix up Homer with other characters.
But if I recall correctly, that one was fine. I don't know, I'm trying to think about the episode, and I'm like, there are things I liked, and then I'm just trying to think, was there anything funny, though?
Yeah.
That's a lot of, like, modern Simpsons.
Yeah. Actually, here's a joke I liked. In a scene which otherwise I think could have been punched up a bit more, where Bart and Lisa are doing, okay, things we know about Marge. And Lisa's like, oh, I know she likes my jazz recitals. She doesn't. I like that joke, but yeah, that scene could have used a few more jokes.
I know you complained about Lisa not knowing Marge's name, but I do love the, like, what is something we know about Mum? Oh, her name is this. That is very good kid logic.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the kind of integrity break, if I feel like Lisa would know that. But yeah, the whole thing of, her full name is this. Did you know? Yeah, that's got some nice, like I said, kid logic behind it.
Like, this episode made Bart and Lisa feel like 8 and 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for real. And yeah, getting excited by the new toy, and yeah, Lisa thinking, oh, she loves my school, but no, she doesn't. You're standing upstage, you can't see that, she's reading a magazine in the program. When they get to North Townsburg, that's the corner where Nicolas Cage went crazy. There's the statue. Pretty good stuff.
I only wrote that down as wackiness. I'm like, no, that could happen.
Yeah. Oh, there's several. I mean, Las Vegas is basically every corner of that. Or there's the corner where Vince Neil got crazy and Nicolas Cage was like, calm down, lead singer of Motley Crue. They're filming us. Anyway, specific reference. And my final note is, something I forgot to mention that I saw on the wikipedia.org page. Writer Mike Scully based this episode on a childhood experience where he and his brother bought an inconsiderate gift for their mum at a department store. And he was also caught, his brother was also caught shoplifting at the same store another time, which of course was the premise for the season 7 episode Marge Be Not Proud.
I knew that second bit, but they haven't put season 35 on DVD or audio commentary yet, unfortunately.
We're waiting.
TikTok, motherfuckers.
I'm curious if Mike Scully was involved in any of the other episodes where characters bought inconsiderate things.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that there's just something about ironing board covers with this and Marge Be Not Proud as well. Like we said, this is a couple of episodes. All right, it is time to rank this thing. Diana, why don't you kick it off this time? What would you like to rank Iron Marge? Wait, sorry, what is that title? Iron Marge?
She got 2 ironing board covers, Elliot. She's going to be doing much ironing.
Okay, I'm glad because I didn't even make that connection.
It's tenuous at best.
Anyway, sorry. So what did you think? What would you like to rank Iron Marge?
I know I'll be on the high end of this. So whatever you guys do, I'll be the part that makes it shiny. Like the African grey, I think this was silver.
Oh. Care to elaborate? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Isn't that enough, Elliot?
No, okay. It, like I said, it was a very good story. I love heartfelt Simpsons, which is it's a bit of a rarity later on. They really, in the 30s, most of those are Marge episodes.
Yeah.
And Marge.
Yeah, good point.
Julie Kavner sounding like she's dying every time actually kind of helps sometimes.
Yeah. Tells that emotion.
No, story was great. Like, great by Simpson standards. It was very well done. Everything connected. There were some good jokes that we talked about, and I didn't really have problems. It's just the episodes that I like more are funnier. That's really the only thing lacking here.
All right, silver for Diana BT.
This is tough. I feel like it deserves silver-ish because, structurally this is quite good, but it's a little more of the laugh. It's like if you compare it to the last one, which needed a bit more structure and a bit more laugh. This one has the better structure but less laugh, so it's like it's kind of evening out in a weird way.
Yeah.
That said,
I liked this more than the last episode as well, obviously, but that's probably a good frame of reference.
Yeah, well, like my gut instinct, during the watch, I don't think I did like this one as much, but in retrospect, I'm like, but why? Surely this was better. It's like better put together.
It had a bird.
Exactly. Who doesn't love birds? Like it's the part where the brain is saying silver, but the heart guts are more like on a bronze, and the rest of me has no idea. It's somewhere else. I've forgotten where I put it.
So was that a bronze?
I don't know. Let's do the classic. Say both.
Let's do it.
I'm giving this episode a bronze. I give this episode a silver. Yeah, still nothing. The method doesn't always work.
Want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
There's always that method. Look, I'm sitting on a bronze with this one. This is totally just putting myself in the feeling of watching this one back, and like I did sort of feel like this is on par with the last episode we watched, but in different ways.
That's where I'm at.
Like, before I came in here, Teresa asked me, so what did you reckon? Was this one better than the last one? And I'm like, you know what? I think the last one was consistently better throughout, but this one had a better ending in my opinion. But ultimately, I'm settling on a bronze. It's bronze is good. Bronze is okay. It's not bad, but yeah, that's just where I'm landing. BT, did that help?
Yeah, there's something in there. I think I'm going to go with the bronze primarily because, it feels, like you said, it feels even to the last one, but for different reasons. But ultimately, if there was the more laugh, I would have enjoyed it. That said, I kind of want to rewatch this one like in a week's time or so and see if that opinion changes.
And call me up at 3 a.m. afterwards.
And then obviously call Jordan because we have to wake him up. But we'll tell him what happened.
All right, that'll equal a shiny bronze. And for season 35, it is now our second best episode.
Hey.
It is behind, to your point before, Diana, about Marge episodes absolutely killing it in this era. A mid-childhood's night's dream.
Yeah. That's the other episode I really think of, especially highly.
Oh, it's so good. Like, unanimous gold for that one. But then, in third place with unanimous bronze, Clan of the Cave Mom. That was, another Marge-focused episode where they were doing like half that parody of that show Primal and then half a Simpsons episode which didn't work and had lots of plot inconsistencies. But
but it looked nice.
But and of the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes we've reviewed this season, none of them have gotten overall positive rankings. So those 3 at least we've liked. Diana, thank you so much for joining us this evening on the Simpsons Index.
No, I'm happy you gave me episodes I enjoyed. I always love that.
Like the grab bag that is the new era, and I don't, like I said, I don't pre-screen these anymore. So I'm glad it worked out this time. There have been a lot of times where it didn't, and you've been.
What's the earliest episode you have available? Like what, season 29?
22, the full Monty. I'm waiting for us to do the movie first because that one at least references the movie at some point. But
the Simpsons movie or the full Monty movie?
The Simpsons movie.
I was confused. I was like, it's like Hank Azaria in that or something.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Let us
all of
know.
Hank Azaria's in that one, baby.
But we've just got one episode from season 22, one episode from season 29, and yes, it's that episode.
You're almost done. Like, when they cancel the show, you'll be so happy.
Whenever
Except you're gonna have to go back and then you have to re-review all your episodes.
Yep.
So that first episode, I would probably only give it a silver. You weren't nice enough to Bart Hood, but
nice enough. That got like a shiny silver.
We were finding our feet.
Yeah. But until then, thank you very much for helping us review Simpsons, Diana. Where can people find you on the internet reviewing other things, perhaps?
Ooh, that's a good segue. So I am still on YouTube at youtube.com/Freezer, FIEEZER 94. You can usually find it just by typing in a bunch of garbage into the search bar, and it'll show you me, maybe. I'm also on Blue Sky, which is very nice post-election.
Yeah, it's a better place to be than Twitter.
Yeah, but I'm at Teresa at bsy.social. But, I do videos on handheld games. I'm working on a few right now, including my first Atari Lynx video, which is nice, even though it's a game Elliot's never heard of, unfortunately.
Despite having an Atari Lynx as a kid.
Yeah, you're one of a few. My older brother had an Atari Lynx. Yeah.
From memory, all I had on it was Paperboy and Altered Beast.
I've got Paperboy. I don't have Altered Beast, but I've got a lot of Lynx games because, believe it or not, they're not the most sought after things from collectors.
Yeah, when you were asking me if I had still mine the other day, I, for curious sakes, looked it up online. It's like, oh wow, that if you wanted to get into collecting Lynx, it's I got a Lynx Model 2, which oh nice,
the good version, and mine also has the wall adapter, so my AA batteries are saved.
Yeah, those things would chew through them. But we'll put links to all your stuff in the show notes, and go check out Diana's videos. They're really, really good.
And if you like other stupid podcasts, I've been a co-host twice on The Conversation. And there's plans for me to come back again. And that's a Donkey Kong-themed podcast. They've done hundreds of episodes, and it's been going on forever. You'd be surprised how much you can get out of Donkey Kong.
Did you review It's Mr. Pants with them?
Okay. Sort of. What they did was what they call a character witness, and it was all about the lore of Mr. Pants, the character.
Oh.
Beloved character. He was on Rare's website back in the 90s. And then he eventually got to be in games like Banjo-Tooie and Grabbed by the Ghoulies. And obviously, It's Mr. Pants, the best puzzle game ever made. And it's a shame more people haven't played it because it was the Tetris killer no one knew existed.
Well, and Diana's reviewing so many wonderful obscure games on her YouTube channel, so please go check that out. And
I only did it because of you. I remember coming on this podcast years ago, and you told me I should do YouTube or something. So you started this, and you're responsible for my bank account losing thousands of dollars on garbage no one wants.
But who else would be reviewing them? Much like us. All the Simpsons podcasts give up before they get to this stage.
Losers.
Yeah, and once they stop making video games, I'll finally be able to do every single one.
Exactly. All right, so go check that out. But BT, what about reviewing other obscure oddities in history? Where can people go if they want to see some of that?
Other obscure oddities in history, like on patreon.com/SideQuestStudios, or perhaps even our other podcast starring Springfield, where we review movies that star the cast of The Simpsons. So far, none with parrots, as far as I can remember.
Maybe
the Wild Thorn Breeze. Yeah, there were no birds in that cage, Elliot. There were no birds.
There was a misleading title.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can go check out those. And hey, if you like some of it, you can throw us some of that money that you're making so much of. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so on Starring Springfield, like Beach said, reviewing the movies that star the cast of The Simpsons. And one of the Patreon perks, if you go sign up, is you get to be the one to suggest the movies that we review. So if you've got a movie that stars a Simpsons cast member...
And a parrot.
And a parrot, that's the challenge. If you can also find one that stars a parrot, please suggest them over at patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. We've got a great little community over there. And we're also making a bunch of Simpsons content. And we're releasing a new podcast every single week. And actually, speaking of parrots, we're about to launch into our series of reviewing Brad Bird movies. So
many birds in those, I'm sure.
Yeah, so go check that out, patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. But for now, that's it for the Simpsons Index. Once again, thank you very much, Diana.
No, I'm happy to be here, and I can finally go to bed.
Yay, we can
I'm
go
an
to
early
bed.
person. I wake up at 4 in the morning every day.
Oh, Jesus. Well,
I don't even mean to. My body just
does that.
It does that because my body's like, you need to use the toilet, and then I just can't go back to sleep. And my body's been stuck like this for about 15 years.
Oh, crap.
It's great.
I'm glad I can basically sleepwalk and urinate. But anyway, enough about how I wake up. BT, thank you for joining us.
I'm a likable bitch.
And I've been your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. We're also on social media. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on Threads. Links for all that and more are down in the show notes. And lastly, consider giving us a 5-star review. Why not? We'd do it for you. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode. Everything we left in was pure gold, so we'll catch you next time.